part of the organ that's next to the lumen. Here's your lumen here, this white space you see kind of here in the middle. So this would be your mucosa right here, where you see these little hills. All of that is the mucosa. The actual extensions that you have here, remember the little ridges and bumps we talked about a moment ago in the stomach, gives it the ability to expand. Remember what they were called? Rugae. So that's what each one of these structures are. They are the rugae. And notice there is a gap in between each of the rugae. What is that? It's that space in between. It's still on the board. Go ahead. Gastric what? Gastric what?
Pits.
Gastric pits. These are your gastric pits, separating the rugae extensions. The glands that I was telling you guys about is at the very bottom. But the actual space between each of these hills or extensions here are the gastric pits. So where the rugae are, that's your mucosa. Now, as far as the lining of the rugae, specifically along the edge here, remember in the stomach, the lining is simple columnar epithelium. So if I were to point to this particular part of the rugae and actually name the tissue there, that would be your simple columnar epithelium. Now, in the center of the rugae is connective tissue, and that's called lamina propria. That would refer to this area of tissue right in the center of your rugae. And you're going to see the same structure throughout all of the structures. Your small intestine has it as well as your large intestine. It is the tissue in the middle of the rugae. Lamina propria. And it is connective tissue. Lamina propria actually is going to connect to the connective tissue layer below. And when you get into this area, you notice that the tissue type has changed. That is submucosa. So your lamina propria here flows right into the submucosal layer here. So from here up is mucosa, from here down, submucosa. Now let's look at the muscularis and the serosa. All right, here's our muscle layer right here. This is still submucosa way up here from before. This is actually the bottom of it. Here is the muscularis, which would be the third layer below the submucosa. And again, it's going to be smooth muscle. It's not skeletal in your organs. It's going to be smooth muscle tissue forming this. You can see here, it doesn't have a huge muscularis. You're gonna notice on some of the other digestive organs, this layer is a lot thicker than this. But this will be the actual muscular layer, or muscularis layer. I am not gonna ask you if it is circular or longitudinal, so you can omit that part. Just be able to identify the layer as muscularis, and that it is comprised of smooth muscle.
That's right.
Yes.
What about the oblique musculature?
Again, I'm not going to ask that. Just identify muscularis. Now below the muscle, here's more connective tissue again, and that will be the serosa. And serosa not only has connective tissue, it would have some epithelial also. Because again, this is actually the outer portion of the organ itself. You would know this as the visceral peritoneum. That's the other name for it. So it would be outside of the organ.
That's the serosa?
That's serosa.